Before we really dive in today, just a quick mention, if you're finding these deep dives useful and, well, you want more ways to maybe get better, do check out our Get Better channel over on YouTube.
Lots of good stuff there.
Definitely. Okay, so welcome everyone to this special deep dive. Today, we're setting out on a really fascinating path, understanding self-discovery.
Yeah, it's a big topic. We've got some quite compelling material that blends philosophy with psychology.
Right. And our mission really is to unpack what it actually takes to find your authentic self.
Exactly. And importantly, this isn't about quick fixes or easy answers. It's about understanding a deeper process.
It's more of an unfolding, as you said, a journey.
Precisely. The material we've looked at gives us some, I think, really profound places to start that journey.
Okay, let's get into it then. The material starts strong with the German philosopher Nietzsche. He basically just lays it out there, doesn't he?
He does. His argument is that from the moment we're born, we're sort of steeped in values and beliefs given to us by society. Family, school, the media, it all shapes us.
So these aren't necessarily our values initially.
That's Nietzsche's point, exactly. They shape our first understanding, sure, but they might not be who we genuinely are deep down.
And he believed that to find our true selves, we actually have to, actively question all that stuff we've absorbed.
Yes, we have to examine those ingrained beliefs. He even used that quite provocative term, slave morality.
Right, that really jumps out. Living by rules set by others, basically, not forging your own path.
It describes that state of accepting standards and values passively rather than creating your own.
And it makes you think, how many big life decisions have you really made for yourself?
Or how many of your dreams actually belong to you versus maybe what your parents or society expected? Those are the kinds of questions it forces you to ask.
That's the core issue, isn't it? Our own agency. If our basic view of the world is built by others, then self-discovery has to involve tearing some of that down.
Or at least examining it very closely. And that takes real courage. It's not easy to start questioning things you've always taken for granted.
No kidding. But the material really stresses how crucial this questioning is. Nietzsche called it a reevaluation of all values. That sounds intense.
It is intense, and intentionally so. This reevaluation, the way it's described, it often means dismantling old ways of thinking, which can feel, well, destabilizing.
Uncomfortable, yeah.
But the goal is freedom, liberation. There's that quote in the audio, you have to let go of what falls, let it fall.
That resonates. Like trying to hold on to beliefs that just don't fit anymore actually stops you from growing.
Precisely. It actively hinders you.
Okay, so after grappling with Nietzsche's challenge, the material shifts gears a bit, moving into psychology with Carl Jung.
Yeah, this is fascinating. Jung introduces his concept of the shadow.
The shadow. Tell us more about that.
It's essentially the darker side of our personality. All those bits we tend to push away or deny, fear, anger, jealousy, emotions society often labels as bad or inappropriate.
Things we don't want to admit we feel.
Exactly. But Jung's key insight was that we shouldn't try to just suppress this shadow. We need to acknowledge it, integrate it even.
Integrate the darkness. How does that work?
He believed accepting the shadow is actually essential for becoming a whole person, for real self-knowledge. If you ignore it, it doesn't go away.
Right, the audio explains that. If you try to bury it, these unacknowledged parts can end up, controlling you from behind the scenes.
That's where things like unexplained depression or those really difficult relationship patterns or sudden bursts of anger might come from. They can stem from the shadow aspects we refuse to face.
That example of suppressed anger, that feels very real. That simmering resentment that suddenly explodes.
Exactly. And that anger, if you just suppress it, it festers and can be destructive. But Jung would argue if you face it, accept it. It can be a signal.
A signal of what?
Maybe of unmet needs or boundaries being crossed. It holds information. By understanding it, you can potentially transform that negative energy into something constructive.
So facing it is key. The audio uses that analogy of surgery, doesn't it?
Yes. It can be painful, like surgery, uncovering what's hidden. But the outcome, ideally, is a sense of lightness, of freedom. You're not being driven by unconscious forces anymore.
You're no longer a puppet to your own hidden stuff.
In a way, yes. And this connects back really well to Nietzsche, actually.
How so?
Remember his line, becoming what you are requires understanding what you are not.
Yes.
Well, this whole process of facing the shadow, it's part of figuring out what's genuinely you versus the false identities or masks you might have put on.
Okay, so we question the outside world. We look inside at our shadow. What's next on this journey? The material brings in Joseph Campbell.
Right, the hero's journey. Campbell noticed this pattern in myths all over the world.
And how does that relate to finding ourselves?
Well, the hero's journey is a great metaphor for self-discovery. It starts with leaving the ordinary world, the familiar comfort zone of your old beliefs.
Stepping out.
Then you face trials and challenges, which definitely includes confronting those inner demons, the shadow we just talked about.
Facing your fears, your doubts.
Exactly. And then the hero returns, but transformed. They bring back some kind of treasure.
And in this context, the treasure is self-awareness.
Self-awareness, yes.
Yeah.
An authentic identity. You return not with the identity society gave you, but one you've forged through your own experiences and choices.
So it encourages you, the listener, to think about your own life that way. Have you maybe been playing a part?
It suggests you can actually step out of that role and embark on your own journey or write your own story.
It's a powerful framework. But okay, theory is one thing. How do we actually start doing this? The audio offers some practical steps.
Yes, and these are really helpful because they ground these big ideas. One suggestion is meditation or just spending time in silence.
Just being quiet.
Yeah, without phones, without TV, just letting your own thoughts and feelings surface without judging them right away, creating that inner space.
Okay, what else?
Then there's free writing. Just, grabbing a pen and paper and writing whatever comes into your head, uncensored, daily, if possible.
What's the goal of that?
It can help uncover hidden conflicts, contradictions, things lurking beneath the surface that you might not consciously recognize.
Interesting. And the third one?
A values inventory, actually listing out what you consider important values in your life.
Okay, like honesty, kindness, whatever.
Right. But then the crucial part is questioning them. Where did this value come from? Why is it really important to me? Is it truly mine or something I just absorbed?
So you're sorting through what you've inherited versus what genuinely resonates.
Exactly. And the point, as the audio makes clear, isn't necessarily to throw out everything from your past.
No.
No, it's about conscious choice. It's about deciding which beliefs and values truly align with who you are now or who you want to become.
Okay, that makes sense. It's about awareness and choosing.
Which leads us to this idea of rebirth or transformation. The audio uses that phrase, losing yourself to find yourself.
That sounds paradoxical.
It does, but it means letting go of the false self, the persona built on external expectations. That death allows the authentic self to emerge.
And Nietzsche comes back here too, right? With his idea of metamorphosis.
Yes, his stages. First, the camel, carrying all the burdens imposed by society, just accepting thou shalt.
You're on the weight.
Then the lion, which represents rebellion. The lion says no. It breaks the chains. It fights for freedom. It says, I will.
Okay, the fighter.
But the final stage is the child. The child represents innocence, creativity, a new beginning. The child creates its own values, its own world, playfully.
Wow. From camel to lion to child, that's quite a transformation.
It symbolizes that journey from passive acceptance through active rebellion to authentic creation.
And this breaking free, the audio says, that's where true freedom lies.
The freedom to just be yourself. To choose your path, build a life based on your own discovered values.
It reminds me of that other Nietzsche quote, "He who has a why to live can bear almost anyhow."
Exactly. Finding that authentic purpose, that why, gives you incredible strength to navigate life's difficulties. It provides resilience.
But it's not like you reach the child stage and you're just done. Right?
No, absolutely not. That's crucial. The material emphasizes this is an ongoing journey. Every moment is a chance for deeper self-knowledge.
Like that Heraclitus quote, you never step into the same river twice.
Precisely. We're always changing, evolving. Self-discovery isn't a destination you arrive at, it's a continuous process.
And the audio wraps up this section with another potent Nietzsche idea. Man is something that must be overcome.
Yeah, it points to that constant striving, that path of self-improvement, always working towards becoming a more authentic, more realized version of yourself.
It's a lifelong undertaking, really.
It truly is.
Yeah.
A process of becoming.
Okay, so let's try and pull the main threads together. We've talked about the absolute necessity of questioning the norms and values we just inherit.
And the courage required to do that. Then, the importance of turning inward and confronting our shadow, those parts of ourselves we often deny.
Right. Accepting the whole self, not just the good parts.
Yeah.
And understanding this whole thing as a journey, like Campbell's hero's journey, maybe. It's ongoing.
And that central idea that sometimes losing yourself, letting go of the false identities, the beliefs that aren't truly yours, is actually the start of finding yourself.
Yeah, that really sticks with you. And the audio leaves us with that hopeful thought. Remember, you too can be the best version of yourself.
It's an encouraging note to end on, but perhaps as you go about your day, here's something to ponder.
Okay.
Think about just one small belief you hold, something you've maybe never really questioned. How might that single belief be quietly shaping your choices, your feelings, your present moment? What could happen if you just gently, curiously, decided to examine it today? Where did it come from? Does it still serve you? Just a thought to carry with you.
A powerful thought. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive.